Yes, Simran.
Yes, Anima.
Supposed to speak a bit slow so that I would be able to read the caption.
Okay, so let's speak a bit slower since she has a little bit of difficulty in hearing. So she needs to read the
No,
captions.
I have a total difficulty. I can't hear, so I need to depend on the caption.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. I think even the one who is hosting the this class can also start the caption by clicking there right below the screen. I see CC. If something goes wrong, then it would be a nice option.
Okay.
So what are we going to talk about today?
So we are going to talk about the different career options that you can have in Amazon Web Services.
Yes, that was one thing I was waiting. I really got it.
Okay, that's nice.
So can you tell me what are the data analysis kind of roles in the AWS?
Different roles you're talking about, is it?
No, data analytics, data management, information visualization, something like that.
I'm not getting it actually.
Okay, then no problem.
We can have
Okay.
the Q&A session after the presentation.
Correct.
Is it good?
So,
Yes, it's good. We can go.
I think we have enough participants, so some of them might be joining a bit later. So we can start. So there's a heads up.
perfect. Thank you. Hello everyone. I am Govind, and I'm a cloud architect here at Access.io. Access.io is a cloud native company, and we are based out of Bangalore. I lead the cloud transformation journey here at Access. In next 40 to 45 minutes, we'll be trying to understand, the different career aspects or different career options that you can have with respect to AWS. We'll also talk about the technical and the non-technical career options that AWS has, and thereafter we'll understand what would be the roadmap for all those options that is there. So you see, right, the name of this entire slide is Rise Above the Cloud, Achieving Career Success with Amazon Web Services. So, can you hear me?
I can read you, of course.
Okay, perfect. This is about me. So I have been working on AWS from last 6+ years. I'm a cloud architect by profession. I work in Access.io. I'm also an Amazon ambassador. I was not recently nominated for this ambassador, role. I hold all the AWS certification except machine learning. So basically, I have 11 Amazon Web Services certification. Along with that, I hold other cloud certifications like Microsoft Azure. I have the specialization in Linux operating system. I have L3 proficiency, and I do have some networking understanding as well. So it's more of, I'm a completely technical person, and I have been working with a lot of customers in last 6 years, to help them out getting their entire things moved to cloud. So I lead the cloud transformation journey or cloud transformation practice, cloud migration practice in Access.io. The
Oh,
you know
that's good, good, good. So I want to ask you one question. If you become Amazon employee, then do you get to have all the certification in free?
you will have some AWS programs where they will help you out in getting the certification voucher so that you can get these things free of cost.
Okay, good. And I really like this cloud migration data and all things. So I wanted to do all that. So
Perfect. That's really nice. So what we will do in next 40 to 45 minutes, we'll just try to understand the different career options that AWS is providing. Uh, we will have at the end, if in case you have any queries related to those slides, you can just keep it with yourself. And at the end, we will have a very detailed discussion, or we'll have a Q&A session where I'll just try to understand your perspective, your questions, and help you out getting those answers from my end, right? So that's how this entire next 30 to 35 minutes will be, right? So you can always connect with me on LinkedIn, uh, GitHub, my own personal website. Everywhere you will find just the username is ELN Govind, right? Now coming to the overall agenda of this entire workshop, we will be touching base upon certain key pointers. We'll just try to understand the different cloud computing careers. We'll also analyze the technical career option that AWS has provided, or the technical career option that you will have, with respect to AWS is one of the cloud provider, but it's more of you can have with any cloud providers, to be precise. We'll also try to understand the different business and the management career option that is there with respect to cloud computing. What are the trending technologies, or what are the emerging career options, the latest developments that is going around AWS, or different trends, or different technologies that is coming in and that will be used in the future. So we'll be talking about those emerging career options as well. I'll help you out understanding the different skill set that is required to get into the cloud computing career, and what sort of qualification is required to get started with the cloud computing career. We'll try to understand how your future would look like if you follow this entire roadmap, and then we will conclude with a summary of the things that we have discussed over a period of the entire workshop. So this is how the entire workshop would look like. I would take a pause and I'll just try to understand from you. I mean, am I so fast, or is it fine right now?
I think a bit fast.
A bit fast. Okay. I will try to be a bit slow, and please let me know whenever you feel that I'm going a bit fast. You can always raise a flag, and I will try to improvise that.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Yes. So we all know that over a period of time, uh, cloud has evolved. Previously, we were mostly using the on-premise servers where we used to host our websites. We used to go and you know uh, purchase those physical servers, have some sort of hosting, and it was a very lengthy process, to be precise. Now AWS coming in, or the concept of cloud computing coming in, these things are becoming very easy. Now it's more of going and hosting a website or purchasing a server is an activity of less than 5 minutes ka task, right? Where you can any given day create an AWS account and launch a server, get the IP addresses, set up the networking and all. So it AWS or the cloud computing has actually made these things very easy, and that's why it unlocks the limitless career opportunities for the future as well. And that's why it is very important to understand those career opportunities going forward, right? So that's where we will be discussing the things. Now, we already discussed that uh, when you want into cloud computing, it is not about getting a role of cloud developer or cloud engineer. These cloud providers gives you equal opportunity with respect to technical as well as the non-technical field. So if you are someone who is skeptical about, I don't know the technical stuff, will I be able to start my career in cloud computing? The answer is yes. Still, you can start your career in cloud computing. You just need to understand certain basics, certain functionalities, and get started. So it's not that AWS is only for the technical folks. AWS has a lot of other opportunities which you can leverage to to start your career. So don't be in that perception that Amazon Web Services is only for techies. You will have the career opportunity even if you're a non-technical person. So that's where I just wanted to clarify that anyone who wants to get into cloud computing, you can get into it, provided that you just follow the career path that is there with respect to those roles and responsibilities, right? So that's how it is. If you see here, we have divided this into two sections. If you are very much interested in the technical field, you will have the roles like cloud engineer, cloud developer, cloud operations engineer, site reliability engineer, and there are a lot of other roles that is there with respect to the technical field. However, if you're not a techie, if you do not want to code, if you do not want to understand the concepts of networking and Linux operating system, you might want to get into the business aspect of cloud, and that's where you have the roles and responsibilities like technical sales, account manager, project manager, and so on, right? So don't be in that perception that it is just for technical person. Anyone can step in and they can start their career. I hope this is clear, right? Please let me know if you want to have something, like if you want to discuss something in between with respect to technical and the non-technical thing. In the meantime, I'll just try to understand how many of you are I believe that most of you are from college, and this entire session is going to be for for someone who want to start their entire career in cloud computing. Is it correct? We have a lot of past participants probably. We have Pragati, Nishtha, Prerna, Rojina. You can speak up. What sort of
Writing
background
in
you
the chat box, so everyone is saying yes.
are? Okay, so most of you are from the college, right? And you want to start your career in cloud computing. Perfect. Now we discussed the technical and the non-technical career option. We'll first try to understand the technical career option and how typically it looks like, and then we'll go for the non-technical as well. Now coming to the technical option, mostly this option is very much one is you are either a developer or you are the one who is very much interested in learning the programming languages. It's more of you love coding. That's where AWS gives you an option. It's more of a dev oriented career option. Basically, you are a developer who loves to code. That coding can be in any of the programming languages. It can be Java, it can be Python, it can be Golang, it can be and there are a lot of other things that is there, right? So if you are someone who loves coding, there's one profile for you, and it's more of cloud developer role, where your primary focus should be to understand the programming language and deploying that solution on cloud with the help of some sort of AWS tools and technologies. That's one. So if you're having an inclination towards the programming language, probably this is one of the options that AWS provides, right? This is more of a dev oriented career option in technical field. The second one is ops oriented. For example, you do not like coding, however you want to be in the technical field, and that's where this operation oriented things comes into picture. So it's more of you're involved in you're involved in the technical field, but it's more of not very deep level of programming. It's just a high level thing is required. You just need to, write some sort of small scripts, or you need to go and set up some sort of alarms, some sort of notification system, and all those things. And that's where you call it as cloud operations engineer, right? So that is one of the option that you have. Now, you either pursue the development career where you will be the cloud developer, or you pursue the cloud operations career where you will be mostly in the cloud engineer field. There is one more. If you are interested, if you have some sort of development background, along with that, or you have some sort of interest in the operations as well, there's one combined one, and that's where you have profile called DevOps engineer, or ML ops engineer, data ops engineer, GitOps engineer. So there are a lot of profile that is there where it's more of uh, both the things, or you are good at one and you are so at the other one, and that's where you can always choose the combined one, and that's where DevOps, ML ops, data ops, these profiles are getting very famous, right? So that's what I just wanted to highlight using this slide. Now, once you have decided that I want to go into this entire thing and I want to get very deep into all those things, how it would look like, how your career path would be, right? Because cloud is not just about having a profile of AWS engineer or cloud engineer. It has some sort of a specialization, and that's where this slide will help you out understand that what are the different options, or different specialization you can have, or different career path you can have with respect to cloud computing. So if you see, you might want to find your one, right? We have something called developer associate, right? Or developer profile, the one who is very good at programming language and who is very keen to do some sort of development activity. You have the career option as developer associate, you see here. Then the second one is, I'll just try to have some sort of highlighter so that so this is the cloud developer profile here. Then you have, if you're into the operations, you have the other option, that is the sysops engineer, right? Then you have learned a lot and you understand the operations aspect, as well as you have some sort of coding background, and that's where you see here the DevOps professional comes into picture. Similarly, someone is coming from let us say that a networking background, who understands networking very well, and he or she wants to pursue their entire career in networking itself, and that's where you have the specialization, and here it is, networking specialty. Similarly, you can have the database specialty as well, where you understand the data aspect of it, you are very deep into any of the database. That's where this is there. Again, you see there are a lot of databases that are there. For example, you have Postgres, you have SQL, you have MariaDB, you have MongoDB. So there are different databases, right? You can have your own career path in that aspect as well. Then someone very interested in security, AWS has that option where you just pursue the security bit of it. No need to, like, you just understand the basics of other and get into the security field. Then the one who is very much interested in designing and architecting the solution, we have something called solution architect for you, right? Recent trends is more specific to machine learning. You have something called machine learning. Similarly, you have data engineer. So there are a lot of options that AWS provides with respect to different career path with respect to the technology, right? Similarly, there are certain people who wants to get into the business side of it, who wants to start their career in non-tech field. AWS has the option, though they do not have the specialization certification, but they have the accreditation. When I say accreditation, it is more of it is more of a training course which you get from AWS using some you need to just log into the skill builder, find those find those accreditation path and get it done. That's where they have the business accreditation training as well. You might be knowing that AWS gives a lot of training free of cost, where you just need to log into the skill builder account and find your path and get those training. Few trainings are completely free. Few trainings are something that you'll have to pay some amount for it, or you'll have to take some sort of subscription for that, right? So as a career path, you see, you have the architect role, you have engineer role, you can have the specialization in security, database, machine learning, and so on. Now, what are the different skill set that is required to get into these roles? So in general, these are the basic things that you must know. Obviously, AWS, a generic understanding is something that you should know. It's okay to know the scripting language, where that scripting language can be either, it can be a Linux based scripting language, or some sort of Python, or Node.js, or some sort of any other language where you know how to automate this stuff. You should understand the infrastructure well. When I say infrastructure, it's more of the server component of it. Along with that, you should have a basic understanding of networking, like OSI reference model, right? What are the different types of IPs, and security aspect, the basic security understanding, right? What are the different product networking you can have? What are the different protocols that are there? Similar in security, the basic understanding, like what are the different kinds of attack that can happen, how to prevent those attacks, and so on. The roles that you get after following those career paths: you can be a solution architect, you can be an automation engineer, security specialist, data ML, and so on. Now, this is about the roles, right? But you might be wondering that why we are all doing all these things, right? You're doing all these things to get a job, right? And that's where you need to understand where you will get a job. I mean, cloud is used everywhere, right? But where you will fit in? Someone is coming and telling you will be working in a factory, and that's why you need to know AWS. You will not accept it, right? Because you know that the requirement of that factory is very different from the technical understanding that you are having, right? So that's why it's very important to understand that in what are the different industries where AWS is being used, right? And because this is important, because wherever AWS is being used, you have the career option to start your career in those particular industries. For example, if you see, there are certain technology companies, right? Technologies companies where there are a lot of solutions that they're building, and those solutions are mostly built on cloud. So the tech companies, basically the one who provides a lot of solutions, the one who provides some sort of services to the customer, that's where the AWS is used. Then there are some fintech companies. You might not have heard of using, like you might be using a lot of financial applications, right? You might be using some sort of banking applications, right? All these banking applications are hosted somewhere. Few of those banking applications might be hosted on AWS also. You'll have to understand that, what are the different companies that has some sort of the finance company that has some sort of job opportunities for the AWS engineers. Similarly, there are a lot of hospitals, or there are a lot of healthcare industries that has that has their solution or application hosted on AWS. You might not have heard of a lot of names, right? Apollo Clinic, Apollo Pharmacy, right? M-Find. So there are a lot of mobile applications that provide the healthcare services, Tata. So there are a lot of services. In fact, Geo has some sort of health related thing, right? So these healthcare section is also something that uses AWS at the back end. And that's where you might want to understand and make use of it. Similarly, there are a lot of e-commerce sites like Flipkart, Amazon itself. They're using AWS. And that's where again you will have, the opportunities to get into the cloud computing. Now, how the growth would be: you will be learning, you will be improving, you will try to innovate the things, you will find the opportunities, and then ultimately you will succeed, right? So it's not just about that you have learned AWS and that's the end of the world. No, you will have to keep on evolving over a period of time to go at the next level, because the way in which technology is uh, it's changing. It's very difficult to match that pace and be at the top. So if you want to be at the top, you'll have to keep on learning and keep on innovating so that you get the latest technology and you become successful. right? Now, how to start in the technical field, right? We have discussed a lot about all those things, but how to start? That's the main thing, right? Now, in order to start, you need not to do very fancy thing, right? What you need to do is you need to just list out certain services, certain things which is must to have, irrespective of which role you get into in, right? For example, someone wants to be a developer, or someone wants to be a cloud engineer, or someone wants to be a data scientist. Obviously, these are the end goals, right? But in order to start it, you need to have some sort of, uh, you need to have some sort of starting point, and that's where you need to understand the foundations well, because if you don't understand the foundation well, you will not be able to, make the building on top of it. So it's important that you list out certain services and understand it well. So what you need to understand is that all the solutions that is built, or all the different services that AWS provides, right? AWS has more than 200 plus services. All the services that they have, these all services are mostly built on top of certain core services, the base services or the important services that AWS has. And you'll have to understand those services well, so that you, in future, if you're designing some complex solution, you're able to do it using the basics that you have created. I've just listed out few of the services, right? For example, EC2 is one of the services, because most of the time you will be, running your application on either servers or some sort of containers, right? Similarly, storage may S3 is one of the AWS service where, most of the storage operations are being performed. Database is also one of the important component. Networking is the important component, right? So I have just listed out like 8 to 10 different services. These are the basic services that you must know in order to, start the entire cloud learning journey, right? So that's how it is. So you identify certain services, and you start with those services, and then followed by, all those future plans that you have. Now, how do I start again? I mean, you have told that these are the 10 services, but how to start it, right? That's the next question. Now, the thing is, right, whenever you want to start with any services, the first thing that you might want to do is to go to AWS getting started document. For example, you have identified EC2 for the learning for this week, right? So what you will do, you will go to Google and type getting started with EC2, and you will find the official documentation of AWS telling that this is how you can start with AWS. Now, EC2 will have 900 pages of documentation. Do you really need to go and learn all those? The answer is no. What you will do, you will just pick the basics, getting a started document. You will just follow the step, whatever is written over there, try to understand it and close it off. That's one thing, understanding the basic things. Now, identifying the important component of that EC2, server is the next thing. You will analyze it. You will go into the documentation and just read those sections. You need not to go and read all those 900 pages. Then this is one way of doing the things, learning through the documentation. The other way is AWS has a lot of training courses around, right? You can, any given day, you can go to AWS website and you will see getting started video also. You can definitely find those videos even on YouTube also. You go to YouTube, just search for getting started with EC2. You will find some sort of training videos or training courses. You follow it and see how it goes, right? That's the other way of doing it. The third way would be that AWS has a lot of workshops around it. For example, if you want to start with EC2 and if you want to build some sort of solutions around EC2, AWS has a lot of workshop links. I will be sharing all those links and all the detail in the following email. I have the email address of all of you. So what will happen, right? We will uh, you will go to that workshop link and you will follow the step-by-step instruction that you have, and you will repeat the thing, and then you will keep on learning from the mistakes that you do over a period of doing the hands-on. So there are multiple ways to start the learning with respect to the different services that AWS is provide. Those are, first is the documentation. The second one is going and finding some training videos, and the third one is going with AWS workshop link, following all those things step by step, right? So these are the three major things that you should be following. There are a lot of other ways also where you can go to any third party training institute and get those learning done, but it's important that, or it's very, these resources, whatever we are talking about right now, these resources are mostly free, and it's important that you start with those resources and get it started, instead of getting lost into the third party world and thinking like which one I should choose or which one I should not choose. So that's where it is. Now it's very important that whenever you are learning AWS, you should also have some sort of, without, no matter how many videos you watch or no many how many times you go and read the documentation, it won't be making any significant impact in your learning till you go and do some sort of practicals or hands-on. It's very important, and it's one of the critical component of your entire learning. So you need to understand that, in order to start the thing, documentation is good, but it's very important to understand that till you do not get your hands dirty, you won't be able to, you won't be able to learn the thing that is needed. Because ultimately the overall aim of having, these learning is to go and build some sort of practical solutions, right? And that's where the hands-on experience becomes very important. So AWS has, there are a lot of ways where you can go and do the hands-on. The first one is that AWS has a free tier account, right? So you will go to AWS you can just go to Google and search AWS free tier, and you will find that AWS gives you different services, for free for certain amount of time, or for example, AWS gives you T2 micro instance free of cost for an year if you're creating a new AWS account, right? So you can leverage the EC2 instance, T2 micro instance to get your practicals done, right? Similarly, S3, you have 5 GB of storage that is free for an year, right? Your load balancer for 1 year is free. Application load balancer you can use, and that is free of cost for 1 year, right? So what you need to do is, you need to, before getting and deploying those resources, it's very important that you understand what are the different services that AWS provides and which is free of cost. You try to leverage those services, leverage the benefit that AWS is offering, and get your learning done. That's one way of doing it. The second way, AWS keeps on launching a lot of workshops, right? You can always connect with, because we are right now, we are meeting using the user group, right? So that's why it's very important that you get in, connect with all these user group members and see what are the different lab courses or free resources that AWS gives with respect to the practical, because there are a lot of workshops that AWS conducts. You might want to participate on those workshops and do the practicals around it. So that's the second way of doing it. Third way, AWS has a skill builder program where you can any given day go and do some sort of, you can go and create an account, you can do some sort of practical, though there is some sort of pricing that is involved in it, you'll have to figure it out, but that's one way of doing it. Obviously there are third party tools also which gives you the lab access for specific durations. So what I'm trying to say here is that you find any way, right, to get your hands on or get your hands dirty, but it's important you do it. Without doing the hands-on, it won't be, it won't be very great for your future with respect to the technical field that we're talking about. So learning is one thing. The second is doing the practicals around that learning, and that's where uh, this entire information is important, right? Developing the practicals is still basically. Now people always come and tell me, right, that is it necessary to have an AWS certification to get a job? uh, and I often answer them, it's not, right? It's not the certification that is going to go and help you out in getting the things done. You are joining as an engineer and you're supposed to go and solve the practical problems. You're not supposed to go and just have the certification and telling I can do all these things. What you need to do is you'll have to go and get your hands dirty. And that's where just having the certification without knowledge is actually having no impact. It is useless. So it's very important that you first learn, do the practicals, and then follow an approach of going for the certifications, right? Certification should not come first, right? It should come at the end. Once you have already understood the concept, once you know how to build the solution, then you go and try it out different certification options that AWS provides, right? You can always start with a basic certification that AWS has, which is AWS Cloud Practitioner, right? It's more of going and understanding the basic services of AWS. So at your stage right now, if you're a fresher and if you want to get into cloud, you can think of getting into the cloud practitioner certification, provided that you have learned the other components or other things that we have discussed in the last 15-20 minutes, right? So that's the next thing. Then they have different options, right? If you see here, for cloud engineer, they have solution architect associate. You can always have the developer certification if you're dev oriented, and then you have the sysops, which we discussed related to the operations field, right? Then from there also, again, it comes the specialization, it comes the professional thing where you, if you're an SRE, you might want to get into the DevOps engineer profile and you want to go and follow the curriculum of DevOps engineer certification. Similarly for the solution architect as well. Then if someone is into the, like if someone wants to get into the security field, they can always go for the security specialty. If someone is in migration, they might want to go for the migration certification and so on. So if you see, this slide covers the different options that AWS provides, or different specialization that someone can have with respect to the certification. But it's not, if you are going and telling someone that I have 6 months experience and I have a data analytics certification, people will not believe it, because you cannot have data analytics certification in just 6 months, because that's a specialization course, right? So finding the right certification is very important. If you're telling that I have 6 months experience and I have a cloud practitioner certification, people will accept it. If you're telling that you have 2 years experience or 1.5 to 2 year experience and you have associate level certification, people will accept it. If you're telling you have 3 year experience and you're telling I have DevOps and solution architect, it is very much practical that you will be having it after so much of work and all those things that you do. So doing the certification at the right time is very important with respect to the right knowledge that you gain, right? So, and that's why I'm focusing a lot on the certification thing. It's not just about certification that help you getting a job. It's about doing the thing at the right time, right, with right sort of a right set of knowledge, and that's where these things are there. Well, having certification will definitely add an extra value to your resume. So if you're going for a job with 1 year experience, it's always recommended that you have like cloud practitioner certification or some sort of associate certification to start with, because it filters out your resume, and even the one who is willing to give you a job see something additional with respect to the others. Yes, with certification you can get a call from companies to appear for the interview, but you will not be able to crack the interview, because again, to crack the interview, it's more of learning. So yes, certification helps you getting your resume shortlisted. Right. Similarly, if you see, there are different business management and the career options. So we already discussed about the technical options that AWS has. We have the business and the management career options in AWS. For example, if you're coming from a non-technical background, or if you're from tech but you're keen to pursue your career in the non-technical field, there are different roles that AWS has. For example, you can have a cloud consent role, a cloud project manager role. You can get into the sales business where you know the basics and you're just selling the AWS services. You can be a service manager. So there are a lot of roles that is there with respect to the non-technical field also. What you need to do is how to start here. You just need to have the basics of AWS. Cloud practitioner knowledge is more than enough. If you want to go into the non-technical field, you need not to have the solution architect or the professional or the specialty certification with you. You just have the basics understanding of it. Follow some sort of AWS business related videos and business related accreditation and start your career in this field. You never know, you can be, an account manager in Amazon Web Services itself, or you can be a sales representative in AWS itself, right? So there are a lot of partner companies that look for, there are a lot of companies who are looking for someone who has the non-technical inclination, but they understand a bit of, cloud concept or bit of AWS service names and all those things. And that's where you can always pitch in, and you can have these non-technical roles. You can have also inside sales role, where people generally reach out to different customers, understand the requirement, and then ultimately propose some sort of AWS services, right? So having this career path it's important that you have some sort of management degree as well. It will add to your career. It can be MBA or it can be even BBA as well, right? So it's more of, you can have this. So we have discussed about the technical, we have discussed about the non-technical field as well, but there are certain trending things that are there, right? Everyone is talking about chat GPT these days. Everyone is talking about, you know uh, a lot of Gen AI tools that is there. You go and you give the input and it will generate the output for you, or you just ask Bing to send a chat message and it will reply. So everyone is talking about the chat bot. Everyone is talking about tools like chat GPT. So, and that's why it becomes important that you also understand the different career options that are there with respect to the emerging technology, right? Those options are, you can always have the machine learning engineer profile, where you understand the latest tools and technology. But it's very important to understand that even to reach at machine learning engineer role also, you'll have to have the basics. And that basic again start with all the 5-10 core services that AWS has, right? It's important to have, again, you have to start with cloud practitioner. You cannot start directly with a machine learning engineer if you want to be, if you want to get into AWS, right? So it's important that again you follow the basics and you keep an eye on the latest development that is going on with respect to different emerging technologies. I have just listed out few of the emerging technologies. Obviously, one is machine learning, that's very famous. Everyone is talking about it. In fact, AWS has also come up with a new Gen AI tool that is, AWS Bedrock. So you just need to understand and keep an eye on all these technologies. If you want to start your career right now on these tools, probably you might want to cover the basics and start thinking in this direction. You cannot directly start with this. So you'll have to keep an eye, understand the basics, start thinking in these directions, so that going forward, you have this machine learning engineer as a career path. Similarly, for the Internet of Things also, you have, this is also one of the buzzword. If someone is from the electronics background and who is more into the cloud, this is also one of the good career options. Then you have a data analytics, because now the way in which everything is moving to the IT infrastructure, it's a lot of data that is getting generated, right? Every minute, every second, petabytes of data is generated across the globe, right? And that's where the role of data analytics also comes into picture. So here again, you'll have to understand some sort of programming language, some sort of skill set is required to go and do the some sort of operation on those data. So that's where data analytics role is there. Then you have the artificial intelligence also, where again, this is more or less again one of the buzzword that is there, right? So there are different roles, and there are different emerging technologies that are there, where you can always go and explore and keep an eye on, so that you have a very trendy emerging career over a period of time going forward. So the career path, right? There are different options: tech, non-tech, latest trends and all. But how to you know all those things, but now how to start with respect to getting a job and all those things. That's where it's very important that you join the programs like the one that we have joined right now, one of the user group program, where we all are meeting, we are discussing different ideas, we are sharing our knowledge. and obviously we are building some sort of connection out of it, right? So you try to find different initiatives that is there with respect to those tools and technologies. Try to build your network around it. Try to find the people who has that sort of knowledge or that sort of connects, so that they can help you out, guide you through on how to start with. So you can always join the user group programs. You can always try to find some sort of AWS events and keep on attaining it, so that you understand that perspective as well. You can always connect to the people on LinkedIn with that sort of skill set. AWS has a lot of programs like student, I think there's a program for a college student also. They have educate program. They have Amazon community builder program, where you know uh, if that program has some requirement where you are writing 2 blogs, then you have the you can always go and apply to those programs, and you will get, AWS may select you for that program, and ultimately you get the exposure to a lot of AWS folks. You also get the exposure to a lot of people who work on AWS. So it's very important that you try to find out different channels from which the networking and connects can be established, so that the right people can guide you through to start your entire journey in cloud computing, right? Because you may be very nice, right? You may be knowing a lot of stuff, but sometimes someone else just giving you a right direction can uh, take the things at the next stage, right? So it's important that you build those professional network. You always have a very nice once you have the connection, all those things, then you might want to go and apply for the job, right? So you create a nice resume. You always highlight the AWS expertise, right? You always try to do, if you're trying to pursue the career in cloud computing, it's important that you identify certain projects and work on those projects, and you can always put all those codes on GitHub, highlight those things, keep it in resume, give the GitHub link, right? Put the right sort of AWS services in your resume so that people understand the solutions that you build and all. So you should have a nice resume that is crafted. There are a lot of sessions that we take around how to build a resume so that you get shortlisted. So you try to uh, you know uh, make use of all those learnings and put it in the resume. Then the personal branding is also important, because if you see, everyone is here to work on AWS, right? How you are different from others, and that's where some sort of certification, your connects, your personal efforts to put the things on GitHub, and all the things comes into picture, right? So always try to have some sort of personal branding as well, so that you are the one who is bit different from others, or you seem a bit different, so that the recruiters can always go and filter out your resume instead of getting someone else's. So you always try to showcase the thing in that way, build some sort of personal branding. You can always go and create some sort of even you can have a small group where you go and learn the things, keep on highlighting over different forums and all. So there are different ways to build that personal branding as well. Then once you have the AWS learning, you have certification also, you have done everything. Now what next? Then what will happen, right? You know that you're planning to work on AWS, right? So what you can do, you can find out certain companies that has AWS requirement. How will you find it? You can always go to some sort of job portals like Glassdoor. You can go to uh, Naukri.com, Monster.com. So there are a lot of websites that are there. You might want to go and find uh, the sort of roles and responsibilities that is aligning to your learning that you had over a period of time. That's one way of doing it. Just going and finding on different job portal, and just filtering those jobs with the AWS skill set. That's one way of doing it. The second way, AWS has a lot of partners across the world. When I say partner, these are the service providing companies like us who operate on AWS or who help customer building the solution in AWS. So you can always reach out to those partners. So I have given a link, right? Partners.amazon.com. You will see that there are a lot of partners based out of Nepal, right? So you will just filter that with Nepal geographical location, list out the company name, go to their websites and see if they have the opening for the cloud computing role, right? So you have a list of all those companies, you see, and you apply it over there. You can always reach out to the HR and all the other folks which is who are doing the recruitment on various sites like LinkedIn, right? So that's one way of doing it. So that's why I have mentioned over here, right? If you see that you go to partners.amazonaws.com, you find a partner that is there with respect to your location. You go and check their website. For example, in our case, it is career.access.io, right? So you will find access.io on Amazon's website. You go to career.access.io and you apply for a job and you reach out to the HR manager on LinkedIn so that your resume gets shortlisted, right? That's one of the way to do it. And you also know that these companies are the genuine one which Amazon has identified. So it's more of, you're not getting into the trap of someone, giving you something, taking something and then giving you some job. It's more of Amazon is there, and those companies are already listed on the Amazon's portal, right? So that's it. Then it's very important, we have already discussed that it's important that it's not that you have just learned and things are over, right? The way in which AWS is evolving, every now and then a lot of new services that are getting introduced every now and then, right? It means that if you want to be at the top, it's important to keep an eye on the latest and the recent development that is taking place and keep on evolving, keep on improving your skill set as well. AWS has a lot of channels or a lot of methods using which you can always get the latest updates on the thing or the developments that is taking place, right? You can always connect to the AWS Slack channel where you get the updates about the recent development that is taking place, or there are a lot of features that keeps on coming every now and then, right? Every day we'll see 20-30 features or 20-30 improvement things are coming from AWS. You can always keep an eye on all those things. I'll be helping you out with all those links if you need, in order to get yourself updated, how to get updated on the latest technology. AWS also publishes a lot of blogs around it. So you might want to go into those blogs and see what sort of solutions has been deployed. Obviously, these things are based on the skill set and the learning that you possess over a period of time. So it should be that you should not be stopping after learning cloud practitioner. You keep on evolving, keep on improving, keep on growing, and then ultimately reaching the milestone, right? And that's a continuous process. So you need not to stop at any particular juncture. You keep on learning, and then bang, close it up, right? So that's how it is. Right. I hope we have 5 minutes. So I'll just trying to do the things in such a way that we have 5 minutes to do the question and answer session. If you see, one is obviously finding the right career path for you with respect to tech and non-tech. Do the continuous learning, having the hands-on experience and practicals around it. Building the network with AWS community so that you find the right job for yourself. Along with that, it's not just about technical thing, right? It is also about building the communication skill, having the right sort of knowledge to write the email writing or to some sort of documentation and all, right? So always try to identify the other soft skills that are required to get into a job. Because if you are very good at AWS, that does not mean it will guarantee the job, right? It is also about how good you are with the communication, or how good you can write, right? So there are a lot of other skills also. Those are the non-technical soft skills that comes into picture if you want to get a job. So parallelly, you keep on improving your soft skill. You keep on doing the practice so that you evolve over a period of time. So it is important you keep on developing the soft skill along with the technical proficiency to get a job. That's how it is. I think I have finished the session in the legitimate time. Now I'll just leave this floor to you. If you have any question, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer you those questions. You can always unmute yourself and ask, or you can just put your question in the chat and I will be more than happy to answer these questions. Yes, I can share my LinkedIn ID. It is ELN Govind. Do you have any question? Please let me know. I see one question that is coming in. Any personal project ideas? Any personal project ideas while starting to learn AWS? Right. It can be. So again, you can start with as simple as going and hosting a website, a small website on an EC2 instance. That's that's one person project, right? Now, once you have hosted that particular website on EC2 instance, you might want to try it using some different services or try different permutation and combination. Right. For example, you're hosting a website. To host a website, you need a server. Okay, you have a server, you launch it. Now, next thing, you try to have some sort of load balancer on top of it so that tomorrow, if the traffic is increasing, you are dividing the load across two different services. So, hosting a website on a server, now putting load balancer on top of it. Second, on top of it, you put the cloud front to improve the performance, right? SSL certificate so that your website looks HTTPS. Rule 53, do the resolution, right? So there are a lot of ideas that comes into picture. So you just understand, for example, it can be as simple as building your resume on AWS, right? Hosting. So you can just find certain use case, and you can always start working towards that use case, and obviously that will be, a kind of learning for you as well, and it will help you achieving some sort of small milestones. The next question is from Sarika. She's asking that, is there any mistake we should avoid while being on cloud journey apart from not doing the projects? Yes, you should not be very much very much obsessed with the certification, right? It's very important that you understand the basics first, you do the learning, and then try to do the certifications. Don't don't get bogged down. There are a lot of services that is coming in and I want to do everything. No, what you need to do is you put your heads down, list out 5 to 7 core services that is there, learn that, do the practical, move forward. Don't rush in this entire journey. Have the patience. You will learn the things over a period of time. It's not that today you want to learn machine learning, you will finish it up. No. The next question is, can you tell me about data science, and analytics? So again, if you see, right, there are a lot of data that is there. For example, you might want to go and predict the cardiovascular disease. Okay. So again, in data also there are two aspects. One is the operation side of it, right, where someone is just maintaining the infrastructure. That's one. And the second is someone is going writing the code so that they do the data transformation on those data, right? So there are two roles that AWS offers. One is more dev oriented, the second is more infrastructure oriented, right? So what you need to do is you need to data analytics is more of getting some sort of data, performing certain operations on that data so that those data is in a usable format, and then extracting some sort of result out of it, right? So that's how it is. That is also one of the career option that is very much very much everyone is looking towards it. That's a very nice career option that is there right now, right? So that is it. So data science is more from the mathematics perspective, right? Analytics is more of using those. So someone has done the calculation for you. Now you're actually making the solutions on top of it. I think Pragati, I'm interested in ML. So how can I set my roadmap to become a machine learning engineer in AWS? So Pragati, what you need to do is you need to first understand the basics of AWS, list out the core services that is there. That's the first thing, the basics of AWS. Second is you also need to understand ML is not AWS, right? ML is a different concepts altogether. When you say machine learning has, different algorithms, and those algorithms are nowhere associated to AWS, right? It's more of those are the independent models, those are different calculations, right? So what you need to do, you need to have your ML concepts. You need to keep your ML concepts separate, and you need to keep your AWS skill set separate, right? So you first try to have your ML skill set better. I see there are a lot of colleges that they have introduced the machine learning courses, right, in their academics. You go through it, you try to understand different algorithms, you understand the mathematics behind it. Once that is done, you try to implement that concept on AWS. And how would you do that? You will be actually learning the basic services and few ML specific services that is there. But it's important you first understand the basic services, and then list out certain services like SageMaker, right? So there are different services that AWS has with respect to ML. Okay. So Sonia is asking, can you explain about the dev-oriented cloud practice? Dev-oriented cloud practice here means that it's more of you are the one who is a developer, who is more into the application development, right? Who writes the front end code, who writes the back end code, and so on and so forth, right? Now, initially you were writing those code for the on-premise servers. Basically, your code were running on those on-premise servers, right? Now, since everyone is talking about cloud, it's more of your code also should be prepared to run on AWS, right? So your base, your core understanding should be of the development. You are leveraging the AWS tools to deploy or to to run your code on AWS. So your concept is going to be of the development thing. You are not going to miss out on the programming language. You will always learn the programming language. You will understand the data structure and all the other stuff. However, AWS will enable you using certain tools, for example, AWS Lambda, right? API gateway. AWS will help you out deploying those solutions using these different services. So understand the services and have your coding knowledge better. Because once you have the coding knowledge, you can always work on any cloud, irrespective of AWS or something else, right? So it's important that you have your foundation strong with respect to development and using these sort of AWS tools to deploy the solution. So it's more of dev-oriented cloud practice. Okay. So the question is, in your initial days of, so this is from Prerna, in your initial days of learning AWS, how do you maintain consistency and why you decided to have your career in AWS cloud? I started my career in 2017. I did my engineering, and post that it was more of I was exploring different career options. I got the right guidance from the right people, and at that time AWS was trending, right? So before starting AWS, it was very important to understand the basics well. So when I was in college, I had the networking and the Linux operating system concept well in my mind. So before joining this company, I did the Red Hat and the networking course. So my foundations were good enough to understand the concepts. And once you have the solid foundations, when I joined this company, the first day was more of I literally did not know anything about AWS. But over a period of time, that system taught us. So the foundations were strong, and the system taught us to start with AWS, right? So and then once you get into the system, it's more of the project will drive you, and the project will push you to go and explore different services, because customer is they're very demanding. So they will keep on coming with a lot of feature requests and all those things. They will keep on coming with new problem statement, and you will keep on learning and evolving over a period of time. I've decided to go with AWS because of the fact that it was AWS is the one who is the market leader in cloud services, and cloud was one of the trending technologies, right? So obviously, I never had any doubt in my mind with respect to selecting the right cloud provider, and obviously that was AWS. what if we are not able to gain the cloud practitioner certificate, but we are still interested in cloud in the Kadir? Definitely, having the certification is not a requirement at all. What is needed is, if you want to start a career in cloud computing, you should be having the concepts well. No one is going to ask you about the certification if you know the things well. So you start your career with, so cloud practitioner is a curriculum which lists out the different services that you should be knowing, right? Where certification is not a compulsion, but yes, it's a good way to start, follow the course and start your career in that way. How long experience we need to apply to AWS in other countries like Dubai or Singapore? How to get there? Most of these jobs are right. It's more of they need someone who is a bit experienced, right? Because if you're traveling abroad, it's not just about. So as a fresher, it's difficult to get over there. But once you have the mid-level experience for say 3 to 5 years, you will start getting will start getting the call, or if you're applying, probably will start getting the interview calls as well, with respect to going and applying for the job in these countries. Initially, I'll say it generally takes 3 to 5 years at least to try something that is beyond your country, but definitely not as a fresher. Do you have any question? Okay, perfect.
Well, those were lots of questions. I hope you didn't get too overwhelmed. So
No, that was
we're right on
nice.
time, a little bit over time.
No
So I
problem.
think we had a great informative session. Thank you so much for that. And I guess our mentees also expressed their interest with all their questions. So we have the recording with you, we'll share it with you as well as with everyone else. So with that, I think we can wrap it up with the formal session. Once again, I'd like to thank you, Govind, for
Thank you.
being
No problem
here
at all.
and giving this very, very informative session. We're really grateful for it. Let's stay connected even after this session, and we will keep communicating with you regarding if we want to do another session then or something like that. Then if we don't have anything else, then let me just could you just tell us where we can find you on social media or other places?
I have my website. It's elngovind.com. So you'll find all the details over there.
Okay, ELN Govind.
I have just pasted in the chat. Yeah.
It's not in the chat. Well, did you send it to
I think I have just sent to direct message. I think I have shared. Let me share it with everyone in the meeting.
Okay, so we'll note that down.
We'll love to get connected with all of you and,
Sure.
and help you out getting your career started in AWS.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. So you
You.
can stop the recording now.
Thank you.
If you have any final thoughts to share, then you can share.
Thank you. I think we're good for now. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. See you then. Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.